Jonathan, you found a piece of news about a new AI product that is coming from Dropbox. Which, to be honest, if you had asked me to name a company that is going to be creating AI products, Dropbox was not high on my list. So, give me an overview of what you understand this to be.
Yeah. So first of all, if you're not familiar with Dropbox, it's a company that you pay them and then they back up basically everything on your computer to the cloud. And I've used them for years. I definitely got a lesson many years ago. I was in San Antonio and my laptop was stolen, and I had just started to use Dropbox, which was really great. And so between Dropbox and Evernote, what was interesting was that getting my laptop stolen was a pain and it was annoying and offensive. But what I did was I bought a new laptop, and literally within 30 minutes after buying the new laptop, everything that I had had before was back again.
Yeah.
That was kind of my introduction to, this is really helpful. So I've used Dropbox for a long time, really like them as a company. It allows you to share documents easily. But again, it backs everything up and so you can find it. What caught my attention was Dropbox announced something called Dropbox Dash. And on the simplified side, it's a way to search your content in Dropbox through AI. Now, the way they initially kind of pitch this is that instead of trying to sort all your files and put them into all these different folders and keep them organized, you basically can just drop it into a box, like literally just throw everything in there. And then you can sort it by asking AI to get it for you. So, David, we could record this file. I could stick it in Dropbox and I could just stick it in the master folder instead of having to put it in the alternative ideas episode 4 folder or something like that. And then all I would have to do is I would have to go and ask AI, give me the alternative ideas episode 4 file. Or I might even say, give me the alternative ideas file where David and I talked about Dropbox. There'd be a lot of depth of being able to search. So for me, as somebody who's not super organized, there's something really attractive to being able to just throw everything into one pile and be able to sort it back out. But David, here's where it gets really fascinating. There is some hints that Dropbox would go a little farther on this, and that you could actually ask AI to create content based on what is in your Dropbox. Now, in this case, the example that they show on their website is that you could say, what are our company's objectives for this coming year? And then you see the AI chat box saying the company's objectives are divided into 3 pillars, pillar 1, pillar 2, and pillar 3. Now, it's obviously pulling that from documents that's in Dropbox. But to me, this is where it gets really exciting. There's a lot of talk about writers trying to use ChatGPT to give them drafts and things like that. But I have major problems with that. The first major problem is I don't want my content going out there, for the rest of the world to use in sort of ChatGPT's database. I feel like there's a problem there. And secondly, I don't feel like it's my writing if ChatGPT pulled it from the entire internet and then I edited it. There's some places where that might be appropriate and helpful, but it's not, I don't think it's ethical to pass that off as my writing. But it's fascinating to think about if I wrote 20 blog posts and 15 essays and a book, and I put all of that in Dropbox, and then I asked Dropbox to give me 1,000 words on alternative higher education. Well, I would get 1,000 words that all come exclusively from my own content. Now, I find that to be really intriguing and interesting in terms of what might be able to be done with that. And honestly, this kind of personal AI that is limited only to my own content is something that I've been really interested in. But I wondered about it as something like maybe I could put on my phone or something like this. And here's Dropbox saying that they might be able to use it and it would pull only from my own files. Now, just like everything, there's two sides to this coin. Obviously, there's really big questions about privacy and, how much access this has to the things and all that kind of stuff, which is really important. But unlike some places, Google is not making many promises about privacy. They're obviously trying to get everybody's information out there. Dropbox's entire business model is built on privacy. So that doesn't make them perfect, but it means that they're starting from a place a little closer to where you'd want to be. So I found that interesting. This is a positive story for the most part with some cautions. And I'm really intrigued where this might go. And I could see this being extremely useful in lots of different ways. If just the simple way to find the stuff and to really solve a lot of time, both organizing and finding things. But if it was something you could search your own content and build documents out of it, I think that would be really fascinating.
Yeah. This has a lot of potential. This is super interesting. Initially, just from the concept of being able to index all of your files for you and just sort all of your files for you, that's already fantastic, because that way you don't have to. At least I spend a lot of time trying to reorganize off my files in a way that makes sense. And so if I just have an
or
AI
find
that's
a document.
Right. Yeah.
How many times have I just recently I was like, what did I put that in this place or this place or that place? And I'm trying to search through Windows, which is pretty cumbersome. And and then end up recreating some of the work only to the next day find that I'd put it in some other place that was logical to me at the time. It wasn't anymore. That's a lot of saved work right there.
Yeah, especially if the search function is good, because, technically Windows Explorer has a search function, but if you've ever tried to use it, it's garbage. It's trying to search through way too much stuff, and it's super annoying. So if they have a system where they can do that efficiently, that's fantastic. But I think your other point of being able to have something that is basically an AI that's just operating off of your own content that you are putting in there is really interesting. I agree with your point that the concern for privacy is going to be, well, yes, this is all only coming from my own stuff, but then who has access to it? Because it's going to be real tempting for a company like Dropbox to go, we could make a whole lot of money if we offered to sell like limited amounts of users' data to other companies for advertising and things like that. So we would really have to watch for that. But at least in its current form, as I understand it, that's a really interesting possibility.
And good, bad. I mean, to some extent, I've already decided to trust Dropbox with my data, right? I mean, at this point, Dropbox has access to everything that's on my personal computer because it's all backed up. And so is that a security risk? Yes. Do I generally, keep in mind that really, really, really essential files that are absolutely need to be private probably ought not to be on a computer. They probably at this point need to be printed as a hard copy and put in a safe.
Right.
And so to some extent, it is a risk, but it's a risk that's already kind of built in. It's sort of like Evernote. Is your stuff private in Evernote? I hope so, but I don't really have anything in Evernote. Here's our theory, David, and this is actually not a bad theory. When I text people assuming a reporter that doesn't like me would get it and be able to use it. And that just helps remind me not to lose my temper when I'm texting somebody or say something that out of context would look weird or something like that. And I think the same thing with Evernote and Dropbox, right? I just assume whatever I have in Evernote and Dropbox, if this whole thing became public tomorrow, how much damage would it do? And, from my perspective, it would be inconvenient. And, but it's, there's nothing that I think it's a good rule to not put anything in there that would be, the passwords to all of my financial institutions or something like that. It's probably not a good idea. So.
Right. Yeah. Or if you're going to have some sort of digital file of that, put it on a drive that you then keep away from your computer that is not connected to the internet, is not getting backed up, and you put that in a safe.
Right. That's exactly what I do. Flash drive, external hard drive, put it in a fireproof box somewhere. Absolutely.
See, Jonathan, this is just making the IT manager and me happy, because we also, as a bonus for our AI podcast, get to educate people about how to safely and securely store their files. This is making me happy.
Well, I just want everybody to know that David's not just happy about that. He's happy that I said it, because David generally thinks that probably the biggest security risk for Unbound is the person on the other side of this microphone. And so I think he's trying to recover his surprise here and finding that I might do something somewhat secure when it comes to digital world. So yeah,
a surprise to be sure, but
bonus.
A welcome one.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you so much for watching this clip of the Alternative Ideas podcast. If you want to see some more of the clips like this one, or if you want to see the full episodes where these clips come from, you can check those out here on the Alternative Ideas podcast YouTube channel.